Have you got a good education, or are you in the process of getting one? Nelson Mandela said that education was the most powerful weapon to change the world. I got trouble with that quote, and I'll tell you why. While more people than ever are getting more education than ever, the world's not becoming a better place. People are not becoming better people or happier people. Why? Because education is no longer about the transmission of values. It's about an exclusive transmission of information. The novelist C.S. Lewis expressed this well when he said, "Education without values, as useful as it is, seems rather to make man a more clever devil." Ooh, that's good. Now let me share 10 values that the Bhagavad Gita lists as essential ingredients of education. Humility, pridelessness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, self-control, renunciation, accepting the importance of self-realization, and the search for the absolute truth. There's a lot in every one of those values, like self-control. How much are you in control of your senses and your mind? Can you control your tongue and eat what's healthy, non-violent, and environmentally friendly? Think about these 10 values. Study them and try to apply them to your life. They will add value to your education, so make sure your education steeps you in knowledge and not in ignorance. And if you finish school, there's still time to enrich life with values. Our whole life is about education, and the real examination comes at the end. So it's never too late to be learned in the things that count. To overprotect children by keeping them sheltered from the risk of playing in nature, from other children's aggression, and just from everyday low-risk situations. When I was a boy, say from the age of 10 to 15, during the summer, I would go fishing with only my dog. I was gone all day and returned for supper. I hiked through woods and rafted across lakes, and of course I was a good swimmer. But my parents thought it natural that I should learn to handle myself in reasonable risk situations. Life would have greater challenges for me, and it certainly did. Sometimes I really banged myself up, and on one occasion I fell, and I have this scar to show for it 60 years later. But I'm here to tell the tale. The idea is that children become more resilient, more prepared for the world of grown-ups when they're allowed to experience reasonable social stress, challenging situations, and even negative emotions. Immediately intervening in a fight between children may not be the best training. I've seen it a lot. Kids, too, need to learn how to resolve conflict. I recently read a brilliant article in The Guardian. It really formulated my own observations of parental mollycoddling and its harmful effect. For example, we know the immune system requires exposure to different germs in childhood in order to realize its full potential. Parents who overprotect their children from the environment with all its germs, dirt, and allergens deprive the development of the child's immune system, and so actually put them at higher risk of infection in the future. Deprived of such exposure, such inoculation, they are most likely to suffer later when challenged with teasing or discrimination. Kids need friends, loving parents, and preventative education from environments of excessive violence and intensive bullying that will certainly alter their psychological and physical health. We need to teach children to treat other children with kindness and respect. Having said that, exposure, say for example, to certain levels of stress are important for their development. Stress inoculation is a form of immunity from future situations of greater stress in the way that vaccines immunize against disease. Short spells of normal stress are not harmful, but beneficial and essential. Anxiety disorders and depression means the inability to deal with stress amongst teens and young adults is rising faster than the available therapists to meet the need. In the U.S., 20% of girls suffer from at least one major attack of depression, and in the UK, recurrent depression amongst girls has doubled. in the last 10 years. That's far out. And boys aren't far behind. Social media is one place where girls especially are affected by emphasis on good looks, intense trolling, and racial aggression. How to raise children to prepare for both day-to-day and abnormal challenges? Let me quote this proverb. It's a takeaway for watchers. Prepare the child for the road, not the road for the child. Even though we live in a new world, in the way that my parents let me roam through the countryside as well as suburban Montreal, let your kids roam. It's their nature. But as you do, teach them things like recognizing danger and working out disputes with their friends. Inoculate your children with experiences and let them grow. 16 to 18 years of your life studying for tests, writing reports, and struggling through exams. What will you achieve from it? A few letters after your name, a career, definitely years of student debt. Now, I was here 55 years ago at the start of my life, and like you, I had to go to school, but no one explained why, and no one told me what I'd gain from going. Sure, we need to be educated, but in what? Today's education system is a factory, and based on a solitary testing method, they're graded either good or bad. You may not understand the information, but if you remember enough to pass, you move up a grade, and in that way you're perpetually pushed up and up and up through the system. But even educators are realizing that something is very wrong with this system. In Einstein's words, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. A Harvard study suggested that the true signs of a graduate's professional success are self-control and steady emotional health. But which class taught you how to be self-controlled? Which teacher spoke to you about emotional health? Biology may have taught you about human anatomy, but have you found yourself among those organs and bones? I'm sure you've had home economics class, but do you know where food comes from? Or, for that matter, what's in it? And most important of all, was there a course in school on the purpose of life? A course on why we're here? Right now, of 260 million students around the world, 1 in 5 college students suffer from anxiety or depression. And more will suffer of the same when they graduate and get to work. So what's the value of all these years in school if at the end of it, we're unhappy? What have we really learned? So think before rushing to join the system out there just to become a number. Just wait a minute. Along with degrees, you need to develop character and core values. By doing so, you get closer to understanding what the purpose of your life is. Embrace your inner journey through self-awakening, where you will create a life full of meaning and purpose. Now, you may not get that in school, but you have to make it up as homework. Homework that adds meaning and satisfaction to your life. And that's homework that's worth learning, and it's a life that's worth living.